Daredevil Born Again was an impossible task. Originally conceived by Matt Corman and Chris Ords as a kind of reboot to the beloved Netflix series, the show would bring back Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock and Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, but the rest of the supporting cast would be completely new faces. The show's tone was set to be lighter than the much grittier original, and the story structure more episodic. In fall of 2023, the writer's strike happened, giving Marvel head honcho Kevin Feige some time to do a quality check on Born Again, which was well into production with 6 episodes already shot and cut in a season order of 18 episodes. To put it mildly, Kevin did not like what he saw and called for a complete series overhaul. Corman and Ord were fired, and Dario Scartopane was brought in to do some mad Frankenstein science in hopes of making the old footage work within the new framing. That new framing being that the reboot was now a continuation of the old show. And with that, some of the original supporting cast was brought back. In a sense, to help transition old fans of the show into the new era. The 18-episode season was bisected to 9. A new pilot was shot, as well as episodes 8 and 9, and crispier fight scenes were added in to replace the old. But not all. Now, mind you, I barely knew any of this information while watching the show, but man, I could feel it tearing at the seams. To put my opinion out there simply, I did not like this show. But instead of giving the show just another formal review, I want to do a mission debriefing of sorts to determine whether this was just another bad patch job or an impossible one. The initial problem with the show comes at its conception. It wants to be something completely new while having its leads be these unavoidable doorways to the old. Now, if Daredevil and Kingpin hadn't already been introduced into the MCU in shows like Hawkeye and She-Hulk, then I would have recommended a recast. And no shade to Chuck and Vinny, I love those guys. But it's impossible to have a clean start with all the history they bring. And it gets even trickier when you have to add back that history around and within the 6 episodes already shot, which is fine when the material you're left to work with matches the format of the new. But because of the original's episodic format, so much of the tension that's built up over each episode isn't carried over to the next. There's this moment in episode 2 where Matt beats up a couple cops who are attempting to murder a key witness. Matt breaks one guy's arm and turns the other into Christopher Reeve, before letting out this guttural.
Now we're talking.
This is how you end an episode with momentum. Matt's now technically assaulted 2 cops. Well, actually 1. I'm pretty sure the other guy is dead. What is a Murdock to do? Apparently just go on living like nothing ever happened because the next episode barely addresses it. You'd think Matt would have to deal with some kind of police retaliation, but no. The cops don't even try to go after him until Kingpin gives them the order 6 episodes later. Also, that cop that Matt basically killed is just walking around.
What? Oh.
And Matt's not even shocked. If I were him, I'd be like,
We need to celebrate, nigga. I thought you were dead.
so many plot lines in this show build only to end abruptly. The best episode of the old version, episode 3, told a riveting tale of a vigilante, White Tiger, who's on trial for the murder of a cop. Matt's defense for White Tiger rests with that witness from the previous episode. They get the witness to the stand only for him to lie in an attempt to save himself from a pretty pissed off police force. Matt has to improvise by doing something very unethical, but he wins the case. White Tiger is acquitted, only to be... Now, this is the kind of death that should drive Matt for the rest of the season, but it doesn't. And do you know why? Hey, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you.
Because it's episodic?
Correctamundo.
Matt does a little investigation in episode 4, but drops it like a bad habit by episode 5 because he has to deal with the most boring bank heist in the history of television. A bank heist that builds to nothing and develops no characters because
It's episodic.
Bingo.
Now, they eventually resolved that whole White Tiger murder storyline in episode 9. But it basically goes down like this. This is the guy that killed White Tiger. You saw him back in that one scene. Grenade. He's dead now. Moving on. But you know what being episodic isn't a good excuse for? Now, because this show was originally supposed to be a reboot, I'm not going to fault the writers for retreading the old story arc of Matt falling in and out of belief with God or the justice system. This is necessary when trying to bring in a new audience. But unfortunately, more than half of us aren't new. So it's kind of a slog to watch Matt run on this hamster wheel again. Now, I think this problem could have been mitigated had they had Matt only deal with brand new villains. I know the prison system is a bit of a revolving door when it comes to supervillains in comics, but unfortunately 2 out of the 3 villains in this season were also in the last. Which brings us to...
It's funny, isn't it? How even the best of men can be deceived by their true nature. It means that I'm not the Samaritan, that I'm not the priest or the Levite, that I am the ill intent who set upon the traveler on a road that he should not have been on.
While new enemies are often more lateral than forward movement in terms of plot and character development, it's still movement. But it's hard to feel any progressive movement for Daredevil when he's been fighting Kingpin for 3 out of his 4 seasons of television. Now, don't get me wrong, I loves me some Vinny D. He's the best live-action Marvel villain, period. But unfortunately, his constant presence nullifies any feeling of progress Matt has made in the past 3 seasons. However, if we take this show as brand new continuity, he still doesn't work all that well. If we only take the old version of the show, which was episodes 2 through 7, nothing Matt or Fisk do has anything to do with each other. Fisk wasn't responsible for what happened to White Tiger, or the bank heist, or Muse, so their actions just feel completely disconnected until they weren't. Matt knows nothing of Fisk's plans until the second to last episode, and he doesn't put any of these pieces together because they gave him no real breadcrumbs to follow. Everything that connects them was in episodes 1, 8, and 9, which was all shot by the Overhaul team. I feel like the old writers didn't really have an overall plan for these characters, a feeling which became even more apparent when watching these. While the actors are doing their best, none seem to really exist outside of their relationship with Murdoch or Wilson. What's Matt's new law partner Kristen doing when she's not at work?
I don't really know.
What's the story with Matt's PI, Cherry?
I don't know.
What's Wilson Fisk's #1 fan doing when he's not on the job? Dancing at a club with his friends while telling them how great his boss is.
Dude, and working for Fisk is...
What can I say? I love the guy.
Oh, God.
Why does the Punisher wait till the end of the season to do something about his NYPD fan club? And why, oh why, does the new serial killer paint murals with human blood?
I've been having this dream. It's my 8th birthday, and we're at the house upstate. We used to spend summers there. And I go outside, and someone hands me this bouquet of red balloons. And I don't know why. No other kid has them. And then my parents, they wheel out this giant birthday cake. And they call for me to come over, but when I join them, they don't see me. I mean, no one knows I'm there.
Well, that's actually kind of interesting. Why does he want to be noticed? All right, never mind. In the beginning, I thought the original showrunners were fired for the only reason people ever get fired in Hollywood: creative differences. But honestly, I think these guys were fired because the show was just bad on virtually every level. Now, I haven't seen their first show, Covert Affairs, but it was on for 5 seasons, so clearly these guys can write characters that people want to watch for 70-plus episodes.
I mean, what happened?
What was going through these writers' minds when they crafted these non-characters? The season they were given was supposed to be 18 episodes, so maybe they thought they had more time. Maybe they would start to flesh out BB Urik's motivations in episode 8, which actually does kind of happen. And maybe by episode 12, we'd get to explore the cop's reasoning for idolizing the Punisher. And maybe, just maybe, all that wasted time existed because they had so much of it. Most contemporary seasons of television are 10 to 12 episodes, so we as an audience are used to leaner, serialized storytelling. Nobody today wants to hear how the show starts to get good by episode 11. We need to be grabbed by episode 2, if not 1. But you know what did grab me? If there's one thing that's successfully improved upon from the original version, it's the fight scenes. Shout out to Philip Silvera, who also designed the action for the first 3 seasons. You can definitely tell the difference between his stuff and the old stuff. That opening oneer with Bullseye is what you get when you combine Silvera's genius with a Disney budget. The way the camera glided through the scene, giving us this double-page splash of meticulously crafted choreography was truly a sight to behold. Now that being said, I'm not the biggest fan of the CGI doubles, but this is all new version stuff, so I think they were trying to assure old fans that the show was definitely going to deliver on the great fights. Maybe they overcompensated a bit, but the CGI also could have been used for something else. A Texas switch, which is a film technique used to swap stunt doubles in and out with the actors without cutting. However, there is this one fight that is both amazing and frustrating. The first Daredevil versus Muse. As a martial artist myself, I'm never bothered by the unrealistic nature of cinematic fights. I actually like making them myself. But when the writers who clearly know nothing about martial arts start talking about Taekwondo...
There is one more thing, sir. How familiar are you with Taekwondo?
Did I ever tell you I used to compete in Taekwondo?
So you competed in Taekwondo?
There are really only a handful of truly elite Taekwondo coaches.
Do you still compete in Taekwondo?
Look, we all get it.
I can't help but put on my nerd glasses and say, well, actually, Taekwondo, for those who don't know, is a Korean martial art most known for its super flashy kicks. Tornado kicks, 540s, 720s, flash kicks, etc. If it involves kicking multiple boards in midair in spectacular fashion, then Taekwondo's got you covered. Now, it's great for controlling space with its range kicks, but it tends to fall apart if the opponent is able to close the distance. Their legs also aren't really conditioned to be kicked, which makes their legs essentially glass cannons. If you've ever watched a Taekwondo match, you'll know that they're not allowed to throw punches to the face, but they are allowed to kick to the face, which is why you'll, more often than not, see them fighting with their arms down to the side. But you know who doesn't fight like this? The Taekwondo serial killer. He does boxing slips, Filipino weapons work, throws a Muay Thai flying knee, and then, when he finally does a bit of Taekwondo, it's completely blocked by the poor framing of this shot. But that's not even the funniest part. Guess who gets the cleanest, sauciest, most well-framed Taekwondo tornado to a sidekick? Daredevil. Fucking Daredevil. Now, this is no fault to Philip Silvera's action design. The guy's delivered 3 excellent seasons of Daredevil, as well as being Batman in this dope fight, and participating in quite possibly the greatest lightsaber fight. Period. This was a poor choice by the showrunner that could have honestly been fixed with a little tweak. Just grab a pair of scissors and cut out all that Taekwondo talk. Now, I know they wanted it there to explain how he can fight so good, but just simply keeping the line where they suspected him of killing his Taekwondo coach would have sufficed. We don't need to hear Taekwondo mentioned over
Taekwondo
and over
Taekwondo
and over again. Because honestly, it's not that important to the grand scheme of things. But do you know what is important to the grand scheme? Filmmaking is hard, and Hollywood has countless stories of productions gone horribly wrong. But this one is a unique case. Was it even possible for the last 2 episodes to redeem the other 7? Well, yes, kinda. If the overall team had spent more time improving the supporting characters, I think I'd have more hope for what comes next. But unfortunately, they spent the last 2 episodes trying to remind us how good the old show was. They brought back Karen. They played the party scene with Bullseye in a similar way to the wedding from season 3 of the original. They even gave us a fun double dragon fight with Daredevil and the Punisher versus the police. But when Fisk declared martial law, it all felt too early. Desperate, even. Like they needed to end with some kind of bang to hook the audience for the next season. And the way they did that final montage to Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead, it all just felt unearned. They didn't build it properly with Fisk because they didn't have the time, given the constraints. And when Daredevil walks into Josie's bar to see his ragtag band of resistors, I didn't care. I mean, I care about Karen. But all that goodwill came from a different show.
I killed Wesley. I shot him 7 times because the clip ran out. He deserved more.
Because when they showed Detective Kim,
Who?
I was perplexed to say the least. I mean, these characters haven't interacted once in this entire show, so I don't know why they're playing it like all of a sudden Daredevil and her have this Batman Commissioner Gordon relationship. This scene should have been where they introduced the Defenders, not a former PI and a few cops we've never seen. Now, at the end of it all, the big question remains. Will I give the next season a chance? Now, I know for a fact that it's going to be done by the overall team, so it's definitely going to be more consistent. So maybe I'll give it a couple episodes. But honestly, I already have the greatness that is the original show, so I'm not really starving for quality Daredevil. But I will always be curious for more.